Greetings, my name is Dr. Alduan Tartt, psychologist and community servant to you, the people. As you can see, I'm recording this video live from my hotel room here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as I get ready and prepare to moderate a panel called Saving Our Sons, which is designed specifically to talk about how to reverse the trends, especially with African American males not going to college, not being successful, especially in lieu of everything that's happened with the Trayvon Martin case. So today is about positivity. But this video is for you, specifically for you moms that are raising your sons because dad's not there. I want to give you seven tips on how to raise your son. I want to give it to you for free. I want to be salt to the earth on how to raise your sons, not to be okay men, not to be good men, but to be exceptional men. So before I do that, I want to start with a story. There was a man that was watching television. He was really getting into the ball game, and his kids kept asking him question after question after question. And finally, he decided to give them something to do. So he opened the newspaper, and there was a huge ad for an airline agency that had a picture of the world, and the aircraft was going over this picture of the world. So he ripped it into as many pieces as he could, and he said, "Hey, put this back together, kids. If you do that, I'll give you a wonderful prize." So the kids liked the challenge. They went and got glue and tape, and before you know it, maybe 5 minutes passed. They were back. He figured this would take them at least 30 minutes. They came back in 5 minutes, he said, with an astounding look on his face. "How did you do this so quickly? How did you put the world back together so quickly?" And they said, "Oh, Dad, it was easy. We turned around. On the back was a picture of a man, and all we did was put the man together, and then the whole world came together." And the dad looked at his sons and said, "You're right, son. When you put the man together, the whole world comes together." So when you think about it, when we help out our boys, when we put our boys together, they become strong men. And those men can strengthen the relationship, the marriage. And then they can the marriage strengthens the family. And then the family strengthens the community. And then the community strengthens the world. So as we start putting that together, our boys back together again, we can do something amazingly powerful. If we fix our boys, then we can fix our marriages and our relationships and our families and our neighborhoods and our race and our whole nation as a people in the entire world. So let's dive right into it. And here's something positive. In the book, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, he talked about little things making a huge difference. And what he found was that when the critical number of men drops below a certain point, I don't know what that number was, I don't know if it was 10%, 9%, but when there's less than 9 or 10% men in the community, there's more crime. So what does that tell me? That tells me if we go in the opposite direction just a little bit, to add 15% men, 20% men in the community, and they're not abandoning their sons, then we can stop crime, we can stop poverty. Just little things make a huge difference. I don't want you to get demoralized and think that we can't save our sons, we can't save our families, because we can. Alright, well, let me get started. Alright, let me share with you some research from Cornell University, a professor by the name of Dr. Henry Rasuti. I think that's how you say his last name. He concluded, based on his research, that it's not being a single parent, being a single mom, that negatively impacts your child's future. I mean, that's commonly said that, and you know what, how can a woman teach a man how to be successful? And we believe it, but he's shown that based on the research, that's not true. In fact, it's the attitude of the single mom that determines her son's future. So for instance, if a mother says, I'm going to raise my son to be a dynamic man, whether his father's in his life or not, then he is. But if she says, I don't know how to raise him, I don't know what I'm doing, self-fulfilling prophecy of his dad and granddad and great-grandfather were in prison, and because I don't have a father in his life, I'm going to raise him to be the same way. Don't do that. That's good news. So the good news is that it's all about how you think. And when we look at it, some of the most successful men in the world were raised by single moms. Current President Barack Obama, former President Bill Clinton, Les Brown, Dr. Ben Carson. We want to look at entertainment, Usher Raymond, Tom Cruise. We want to look at the financial industry, Alan Greenspan. We want to look at comedy actors and philanthropists. We can look at Bill Cosby. The list goes on and on and on and on. See, it's not about you being a single mom or a grandmom or aunt raising your son. It's about how you go about parenting him that tells us everything that we need to know about him being successful. So therefore, I think, therefore I am. So think about being a great mom and doing the things that I'm going to tell you to do, and doing your research and getting mentors involved in your son's life, and he's going to be successful. All right? So let me start. Let's talk about why dads are absent in the first place, because I have an opportunity to dialogue with a number of men that have walked away from their families, and the first thing I ask them, how in the world could you do it? And here's the predominant thing that I see is a sense of inadequacy and shame, self-shame, that they're not good men, or they're struggling with drugs and alcohol, or they're just depressed. They're not doing well. And so they wonder, why not walk away? I'm not adding any value. I'm not contributing financially. I'm struggling with drug addiction. I'm struggling with employment. Or I'm struggling just trying to find myself. Or I'm struggling in making the relationship right with my son or daughter's mother. I mean, that's another thing I see, is a lot of men just give up because they feel controlled or manipulated, or as if they have nothing to add. So I want you to understand it. We can go in depth, at a later time, but it's not about men saying they don't love their children or having hatred towards their children, but it's hard to show love when you don't have self-love for yourself. How can you be a leader of a family when you don't feel like you have yourself together? I'm not condoning it. I'm just explaining it. Right? Number two thing I want to talk to you about is how to re-engage dads. I have been, thanks be to God, I've been very successful in getting dads to get back involved in their children's life. And here's the core thing. And I heard this said on an interview on Oprah's network on Fix My Life. She had an expert on. He said, if you want to go after the dad, go after his heart, not his wallet. And I couldn't agree more. Contact dad. Tell him, listen, your son needs you, in his life. I know we can't work things out. I know we don't see eye to eye all the time, but we should be able to see eye to eye on both of us spending time, with our children. Go after his heart. Stroke his ego. Let him know. I can't show him how to shave. I mean, I can watch a video on YouTube and have him watch that, but it's not the same as you showing him how to shave, you showing him how to change a tire, you showing him how to be assertive, you showing him how to order a meal on his own, how to repair something in the house. I need you to show our son how to be a man regardless of what's going on. Let's figure out a way to make that happen. Yeah, re-engage dad's heart and sense of responsibility versus his wallet. Now, should he contribute financially? Absolutely. I'm just saying start with his heart, not with his wallet. Now, the third thing I want to talk to you about is how to talk to your sons about why dad's not there, because I see a lot of boys that end up blaming themselves for dad not being there. And I get it. The way it's explained to me is so crystal clear how boys feel. When you're not there, it makes your son and your daughter, for that matter, feel as if they're not a priority in your life. Why would you have me just to ignore me? I mean, why should I have to call you? Why don't you call me? It's my birthday. I got on honor roll. I'm playing football. I'm playing volleyball. I'm in cheerleading. I'm in drama. I'm in gymnastics. I'm just here, and I need love. And you not being there makes the kids feel like they're not a priority. So here's how you explain it. So you tell them, listen, your dad might be a great man in other areas, but when it comes to being a dad, he gets an F. It's not like he can go to the barbershop and tell everyone, hey, I haven't seen my kids in 2 years, or I see my kids every other month, and other men are going to applaud him. No, he's not being a great dad, and that has nothing to do with you. It doesn't matter how many kids he has. He's not going to be any better to them either. Even if he goes off and starts a new family with a new woman, and he's a better dad to them than his own biological children, he gets an F. That's not about you. It's not the fact that you're not a priority. He's just not very good at being a dad. That's like being mad at your mom for not being a great mathematician, and she can't show you how to do math, and then you end up getting an F. Don't get mad at mom for not knowing how to do math. Don't blame yourself and think that you're dumb. Just get a new tutor. Get someone else to show you how to do math. So the same thing with dad. Don't look at it as something is wrong with you. Just realize that, hey, dad has some serious limitations. And one of those very real limitations is that he's just not very good at being a father. But I can be a dynamic son. And just like President Barack Obama said, he went out and found other men that were doing what he wanted to do, that could show him how to be a man, and he learned from it. It doesn't matter who you learn from, you can be a dynamic man. So let's dive right in. I promised you 7 things that you need to teach your son in order for him to be exceptional. All right, number 1, Number one, moms, you have to parent from the overflow. That means that you have to take care of yourself. One of the things that I see that is demoralizing to not only sons but also to daughters are moms that are not able to get off public housing or stay in the same situation because of lack of education. Think about how powerful it is, or how demoralizing it is to grow up 18 years straight in public housing or low income housing. That sends a message to your son that you cannot rise above your circumstances. So what do I mean by parenting from the overflow? Listen, moms, I know you love your sons. I see you every single day in my office. But I want you to take some time to love yourself as well. Take care of your dreams, your ambitions. What is it that you want to do? You can go back to school. You can get that nursing degree. You can be a social worker. You can be a psychologist. Go back and get that degree so that you can show your kids. You can show your kids better than you can tell them that I can overcome the circumstances by getting my education. I can go back and get my GED. That I can go out and get my college degree. If you have that, I can get advanced training. Or I can go out there and step fearlessly into my dreams and take self-development courses, and I can move us out of our current circumstances. And so therefore I can show you, and I can tell you, therefore your sons will never be able to say, I can't do better than my present circumstances, because you didn't raise them that way. So that means it's okay to parent from the overflow. How do you do that? Imagine you have a cup with a saucer underneath it, and you pour water into the saucer, and it overflows onto the cup, and it overflows into the saucer onto the floor. You parent from what goes to the floor. That means that you filled your cup up with your dreams, that you feel so good about yourself that you're able to share what's extra with your kids. Don't think that you can be an excellent mom or dad for that matter if you're not taking care of your own needs. It's just impossible. Raising kids is too hard. So take care of yourself and be a living example of how to educate yourself upwards and onwards to a better reality, a life full of happiness. Now here's something that's interesting. A new article came out in Psychologist today, and it said that the biggest gap in happiness is moving from low income to middle class. It's not that big of a gap from middle class to being rich. It's kind of like the first piece of chocolate. When you taste the first couple of bites, man, it tastes good. By about the 19th bite, there's not that much difference in the 18th bite. It's just a little bit better. So, moms, you can increase your happiness and your kids' access to better schools, better communities, and just showing them by being a mom that, yeah, you know what, I can do better, and so can you. I raised you to do well. So, first thing is, moms, take care of yourselves because your boys are watching. Second thing, love is spelled T-I-M-E. The biggest complaint I get from the young men that I see is that they do not get enough time from their parents. I know that sounds crazy. Time. But let me tell you the kind of time they're looking for. They're looking for in 4 steps. And I got this from Psychologist Dr. Patricia Love. 1, we have to be there and show up every day. We have to invest 15 to 30 minutes a day in sitting down with each kid and finding out about their day. It's not about watching television. It's not about listening to the radio. It's not about being on social media. It's not about having all your kids together at the same time. It's about spending at least 15 minutes a day one-on-one with your child, getting involved in their life. And then number 2, when we're spending that time, we have to be present. We have to be free of distractions, because we really have to tune in. We have to tune in well enough for them to see that the only thing I'm focusing on right now is understanding what you're doing, is playing with you right now, is getting into your world. I'm giving you that. Nothing more is important. There's no stronger love than focused attention on what your kid is talking to you about. And that leads to number 3. See, we have to tune in and be present, because we have to tune in well enough to make sure that we get our kids. That means we understand them, we get them. I'm convinced that more than we want to be loved, we want our loved ones to get us. Get us. And so you understand that I'm passionate. You understand that I have a lot of energy. You understand I can't sit still. You don't tell me that I'm hyperactive. You say, hey, I'm energetic and I need to be kept busy. You get me. So you give me things to do all throughout the day so that I don't get bored. And then finally, at least number 4, we have to get them well enough so that we behave like we get them. And I just gave a great example. So if your son is really into art and drawing all the time, you don't say, man, stop all that drawing, stop all that doodling, do something productive. You get him involved in art classes You get them exposed to people that sculpt and do art and knit and paint and do whatever when it comes to art, and expose him to his career. You behave like it. You get him. You champion his dreams. And I know sometimes your moms and dads, your grandma, didn't do it. That doesn't mean it wasn't supposed to be done. And that's why I was telling you, champion your own dreams so that you have that energy to champion your sons. All right. Number 3, you have to ignite your son's passion. A kid without a dream really has no purpose for going to school. And I see that all the time. I do career days so many times a year. I can't even count. Probably up 30 or 40 a year. And I love doing it because I like to show people how excited I am and stimulate dreams. I know I've stimulated a lot of people to want to be psychologists, social workers, counselors, because they love helping people. So you have to find out and ask your son, what is your dream? What is your ambition? What is it that you love to do? And then expose them to that career. What do I mean? Your son should be on a college campus 5 to 10 times before they ever even apply. What they see is what they'll be. Imagine the visual of seeing so many boys walking around campus with book bags on, studying to be doctors, lawyers, architects, sound technicians, music producers, entrepreneurs, surgeons, dentists. You get what I'm saying? Psychologists, social workers, professors. You get what I'm saying? That is powerful. If your kids are just sitting around seeing, drug deals go on, or they don't see men come home in shirts and ties, that's what they'll do. That's what they'll see. You have to show them something different. I was watching a documentary called Bring Your A Game, which was done by the actor Mario Van Peebles. And he talked about how many black males either want to play basketball, want to go into entertainment, or be a thug. And I take offense to that. I agree with him 100%, but that's what the media shows. So if I'm a young man and that's what I see, I want to try and be what I'm seeing on TV. So it's our job as parents, it's your job, mom, to expose your son to any and everything. He wants to be a doctor, call your primary care physician and make sure that he does rounds with him or her. Have him do rounds with the local psychologist, the police chief, the attorney, the doctor, the professor, the person that owns 4 or 5 McDonald's. Well, I don't like McDonald's, okay? It makes us fat, all right, and poor health outcomes. But, that opens up 4 or 5 franchises. You get what I'm saying? Expose them. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So don't just tell them what they can be, but show them. I was saying I was going to be a doctor ever since 7th grade. I've been writing Dr. Alduan Tartt on my paper since 7th grade when I had a psychologist come into my school and tell me what he did. From that day forward, I knew I was going to be some type of doctor or attorney because I met so many and I wanted to be cool like them, and I met them. So expose your kids to their dreams. All right, number 4, positivity. This one is big. This one is huge, and I try to exercise this as much as possible with my daughter because I'm human like you, and I found out that I can be a little bit more critical than what I should be. The research shows that it takes 7 positives to outweigh a negative. So that means you need 7 positives comments to outweigh a negative. And you've seen this in job evaluations. Where they bring you in, they tell you the 7 things they like about you, and then they tell you the 1 thing they want you to improve upon. That's not by chance. They know that in order for our egos to take it, we need to hear 7 positive things. So moms, this is what you do. Instead of giving your kids directives all the time, so tell them what they're not doing well, tell them 7 positive things for every negative thing to build up their self-esteem and build up their ego. Listen, our kids are who we tell them they are. I tell my daughter she's beautiful. She thinks she's beautiful. I tell her she's smart. She thinks she's smart. I tell her that she's talented. She thinks she's talented. I tell her she's the best gymnast in the world. So that when she falls down, she's like, man, I can't believe I fell. Let me try that again. I never allow failure or anything negative to enter her mind. And that's what my parents did for me. And you will do the same thing for your sons. You'll build them up every day. Take 7 pennies and put it in one pocket. And by the end of the day, make sure those pennies are in the other pocket because you told your son 7 positive things about him. That's how you build self-esteem. Because if we don't hear it, we don't believe it. When someone told me I was funny as a speaker, it was surprising to me. I didn't realize that I was that funny. I know I like to crack jokes. I know I like to be silly. But I didn't know I was that funny. They told me I was funnier than Kevin Hart. Okay, I'm lying. Okay, they did say that, but that's my fantasy. But it made me want to speak more, and it made me start thinking about, man, I'm funny because someone told me. So tell your kids what they're good at. 7 positive things for every negative every single day. Support your kids. Number 5, this is huge. Work ethic. Work ethic and work ethic. Teach your sons how to study. Every day you're studying, and you're studying with them. There's no reason that our children should be doing poorly in school and we're not part of that process. If he fails, you failed. My daughter fails, I failed. If your son fails, you failed. Don't put that on him. If he could do it, he would have done it. But he needs you there, going over the homework, problem by problem, making sure that he gets it. And that's why I talked earlier about going back and getting your own education. If you can't help your son out with his elementary, middle school, and high school education, it's time to get more, or it's time to bring in a tutor that can help them. We can do it. When you teach your young man how to study, how to work, they develop work ethic. It becomes a habit. It becomes something that they do. After a while, you don't even have to say do your homework. They come in like a machine and they do it. You know, as a man right now, my mom and dad don't have to tell me to record this video. I do it because it's something that I said I was going to do, and this is the only way I know to truly impact millions and millions of people across the world. But I was raised that way from kindergarten to do my homework. My mom and dad made sure I did it every day. And if your sons are 14, 15, 16, they need to get a job. That has been the biggest life changer that I've seen for a lot of the young men that I see as they start working. It gives them value. It shows them how to hustle. It shows them how to earn money. It's nothing more powerful than your son having money in his pocket that you didn't give him. Moms, I love you, but stop babying your boys. If they're at home at 15, 16 years old and they can work, you need to require them to get a job, especially in the summer. If they're still in the school year, they can still work. They can work weekends, they can work Friday, they can work after school if you feel that they can handle the combination of work and school. But they can at least work Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays when they're not in school. I'm telling you, it's gonna do a couple of things. One, it's gonna make your son stick his chest out. He's going to be happy that he has money. He's not going to have to get money the illegal way. And then 2, it's going to help him to value his education, because he's going to realize that working, especially an entry-level job like fast food or the grocery store, or movies, the mall, those jobs are boring. No one wants to do that for the rest of their life if they have to. They don't want. So then they realize, man, I have to get my education. Otherwise, I'm going to be bagging groceries for $7.50 an hour. I'm kind of envious of that because I only got $4 an hour. Parents, you feel me? Some of you got $3.75 an hour. Some of you lower than that. But, you know, they don't want to make minimum wage anymore because they realize their lifestyle far exceeds what they're able to earn. And no one wants to bag groceries for 10 years in a row. And so they have to get their education. All right? So remember, work ethic, study skills, and make them get a job starting at 15. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, and you're going to see a dramatic turnaround in your son's self-esteem. All right? Number 6, discipline and structure. This is huge. Moms, I get it. I get it. And as a dad, I really get it. As a psychologist, at first, I said, listen, discipline your kids. If you spoil fruit, it goes rotten. I didn't get why parents didn't do it until I had a daughter. And then my daughter's so sweet and so nice. I don't want to discipline her. I want to have a good time. I had a rough day at work, but then it backfired. She had a couple of days of school where her discipline was not there, and it was on me. So listen, moms, especially with boys, you must discipline your son. Discipline your son is love. Discipline, the rod of discipline, you know. Disciple. Disciple means to mold, to build, and to shape into the mold of a great person with character. Discipline is necessary for that. If you're not disciplining your son, then you're really not parenting him. You're allowing him to go wild. So sons would rather you discipline them than lecture. How many times have you tried to lecture your son and he just goes, oh, Mom, okay, I got it. Oh, please shut up. I got it. As men, we don't like it. If our wives call us and say, baby, we need to talk, they're like, oh, man, we don't like it. We'd rather you just punish us. I know that sounds crazy. We're about action. So if you punish your son, you take away the TV, you take away the video game system, you make them write sentences, they can't play baseball that day, they still need to go to the game, dressed in shirt and tie, and say they're suspended, they're on academic probation, or they're on conduct probation. You don't take them off the team, you don't kill the dream, but you discipline them, then they're able to change their behavior because you show them better than you can tell them. Now with girls, their moral development starts earlier, so you can shame them and say, I can't believe you would go to school and get in trouble. I can't believe that you would say something like that. And a lot of times girls will cry. Try that with a boy. He'll look at you like, So can I go outside and play right now? Boys need to be shown. So it's different. I get it, moms. We're like aliens to you. So instead of telling your kids 4 and 5 times not to do something, just go right to discipline. Just disciplining them. And here's a cool way to do that. Start with making sure that you have the proper structure for your kids. A lot of kids are not bad, they're just not structured. Kids need supervision. Make sure you're watching them and that you're supervising them as much as possible, and you're putting rewards on the back end and making sure they behave first. So you behave and then you get rewards. So what do I mean by that? So my daughter has to ask permission to turn television on, has to ask permission to play video games, has to ask permission to go outside, has to ask permission to start doing cartwheels. I told you she thinks she's the world's greatest gymnast, and she is. She's going for Gabby Douglas, who's going to actually speak with her in a couple of weeks. She's coming to Atlanta, Georgia, but that's an aside, you know. But before she does those things, she has to do things that I ask you to do. You have to clean up your room. You have to do your homework. You have to study the Bible. Whatever it is that I've asked you to do, you have to do those things first. See, a lot of times with our kids, we allow them free access to the house, and we're too nice, and then we try to stop them from playing their video games, and then they get an attitude. Oh, Mom, I was just playing the video, get on my nerves, right? But that's our fault, right? Because we paid them before they work. How many of us would go to work if we got paid early? Pay me on Tuesday. You think you're going to send me on Friday? No. And I'm going to have the nerve to say, if you ask for the money back because I don't go in, I'm going to say you shouldn't have paid me early. I'm not going to give it back. We don't like to give stuff back. And that's what happens with our kids psychologically. They're already playing. They've already been paid. And then we ask them to put the work in, and then they temper tantrum. So from now on, make sure the television, the video games, the outdoor activities, sports, whatever it is that they want to do, make sure those things come after work. It's no sweeter sound than your kids saying, Mom, can I turn the TV on? I made my bed, I did my homework, and I helped out my little brother do his homework. That's what you want, okay? So make sure you structure them and discipline them. That's how they develop self-discipline. If you don't discipline your son, the system's going to do it. They're waiting. You know, the federal prison system is for profit. They need black men, Latino men to fill those jails and work for $15 every 2 weeks so that companies can have free labor. It's modern day slavery. Don't do that. Don't do the pipeline. Don't set your sons up by allowing them not to work, by not disciplining them because you want to be their friend. You're not your son's friend. You're his mother. Discipline him and he'll love you for life. How many times have you heard sons talk about their mothers? When I talk about my mom, who is an icon, a legend, I mean, she started schools, high-performing schools in low-income areas and shown the world, hey, it's not the poverty, it's the attitude of the school. She's done that. So, you know, definitely have to give a shout-out to, you know, my mom, Dr. Fanny H. Tartt, you know, who's one of my role models and being a change agent. It's about setting up things that work, okay? Being a role model. And also shouts out to my dad, Alduan Tartt, that showed me, hey, you work hard, and you work hard, you treat people right every day. Never get too big for your britches. You treat people like you want people to treat, you know, your son and your daughters every day, and that's a lesson that I've learned. Okay, so that's enough for discipline and structure. The main thing I want you to get is discipline your son so they can have self-discipline and they won't have to be disciplined by the system. And the last thing, and most importantly, you have to give your sons a relationship with God. So listen, dad's not already there, but they have a father that created them on purpose with infinite potential, with a gift. Help them to find that gift. Help them to connect with God. Help them to understand stories of men like Moses and Joseph who were not perfect. You know, Moses was a murderer. You know, Joseph was a braggart, and God used them. God used them with relationship to be mighty men. You know, to lead people out of Egypt, or at least try lead them on the way, and then to, you know, help the Pharaoh, help out of famine. I'm not going to get into the Bible, but give your sons a relationship with God. If they don't know God, they don't know themselves. I'm just going to be honest. So that means they need to be in really strong youth ministries. You know, my church, I give credit, Green Forest and Word of Faith. I bounce, you know, back and forth. I grew up at Green Forest, and I'm a member of Word of Faith. They both have really active youth ministries. And those youth ministries are growing because they're doing the things that kids want to do. You know, so we have a DJ that comes in and plays gospel rap, and have people come in, including myself, that give really interesting, quick snippet sermons, 15, 20 minutes, and then we do group breakout mentoring, and they love it. It's church done a different way. You know, we have different gospel artists like Canton Jones, you know, come in, Yolanda Adams, Darlene McCoy, they come in, and the kids love them. So we have to do church a new way. So get your kids around, you know, other youth that believe in God. Here's an interesting fact. When we're looking at the research as to why kids delay sexual intercourse or sexual activity, number one reason was a belief in God. It went against their religious beliefs. Isn't that amazing? So get your sons in church for no other reason other than to delay when they start having sex. They must have a relationship with God, their ultimate Father, to understand why they were created in the first place, to live out their destiny. Once they get that, there's nothing that anyone can do to stop them from being great. That's that fearlessness I was talking about. So listen, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and in lieu of what's happening in the Trayvon Martin case, I don't think it's time for us to sit there and cry and whine. We need to mourn. I don't ever want to experience the loss of a child. I hope that my child never have to experience what his parents experienced. But let that be a wake-up call. Let that be a rallying call that we can save the boy. If we save the boy, we can save the man. If we save the man, we can save the marriage. If we save the marriage, we can save the community. If we save the community, we can save our people, and we can save our nation. We can do it. Get inspired. Use that negative energy. Channel it in a positive energy, and go out there and raise your sons to be excellent men, exceptional men, by any means necessary. Remember, the research shows, I think, therefore I am. That means you think that you're a great mom that's going to raise your son to be exceptional, and you're going to get mentors involved, and you're going to figure out what you need to do to be your son's champion for change, and to be an exceptional man, and to get into college, be a doctor, a lawyer, next president of the United States. Then do it, because you are capable. Take care of yourself first. And let's recap. Parent from the overflow. Love is spelled with T-I-M-E. Ignite your son's dreams through exposure. Be positive, 7 things for every negative. Work ethic and a job. They study every day, and then they start working, earning their own money starting at 15. Because at 18, bye-bye. You're going off to college. You're going off to military, junior college, trade school. You're going to be a man. Number 6, discipline and structure. And then number 7, most importantly, a relationship with God. I'm Dr. Tartt. Thanks for listening. If you want to get in contact with me, the information is right here, how to book me. Use me. I want to be salt to the earth. I want to inspire your sons. I want to do parenting workshops. I want to do all that I can. I want to die empty, full of everything that I've read, everything that I've studied, and share that with the world. Thank you. Take care, and God bless.